Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. I got a fun one today. Although the funny thing is, the thumbnail I originally made for this video, YouTube said nope because cleavage, I guess. I don't know. But there's a new law in the UK where if you call a man bald or you make fun of him being bald or something about him being bald, it is now sexual harassment. Same as calling a woman's bobs. Same as calling her bobs. This was my original thumbnail you can see here. I don't know why YouTube didn't like this. I've seen worse on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else. But yeah, so now if you make a comment on a guy's bald head, it's the same as making a comment about a woman's bobs. I don't know why. This is where we are. And for those of us bald gentlemen out there that we don't care. Number one, like, we don't care. Most guys don't care. If you call me baldy, I'm like, okay, blondie, whatever. It's the same. But the problem is the more that you start doing this stuff, the more problems you're going to be in. There was 3 middle schoolers here in the United States. Middle schoolers, that's for those of you across the seas, that's like 6th, 7th, 8th graders, which is ages what, 13, 12, 11, something like that. They were... Same thing, they were accused of inappropriate comments because and they were, I don't know if they were arrested or they have charges pending on them or something because they didn't use somebody's proper pronouns. The more of these laws you put in to make everybody safe, they'll just keep finding more things to add to it, and eventually you won't be able to talk at all. This is the problem with thin-skinned, weak people. So before we jump right into the main story, I do want to mention this was a poll that was taken, I think it was on Facebook, but it got 129,000 votes. And it says, what's more important, a girlfriend or a PlayStation 5? 87% of people voted for the PlayStation 5. Now, even if you took away and you said 50%, which we know it's not true, but 50% of the voters here were women, if you take that aside, and you subtract that from the PlayStation, or the 2 or 3% of women that might want a girlfriend, it's still overwhelmingly people would rather have a $500 electronic piece of equipment to play games on with their friends than a girlfriend. I thought that was kind of funny, so I just thought I'd mention that. All right, so from The Guardian, and this has been reported in multiple articles or multiple places, so it's a real thing. It's not just The Guardian making up something. Calling a man bald is now harassment, and, well, specifically sexual harassment. Employment tribunal rules. Tony Finn, who worked for a West Yorkshire manufacturing firm for 24 years, is in line for compensation. Anyway, I'll read the story a little bit, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is not progress, despite, I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. Calling a man bald is harassing, and employment tribunal has ruled. Hair loss is much more prevalent among men than it is women, so using it to describe someone is a form of discrimination, a judge has concluded. Commenting on a man's baldness in the workplace is equivalent to remarking on the size of a woman's breasts, the finding suggests. Now, here's the slippery slope argument, okay? And they say, again, it's prevalent more among men, and it's equivalent to remarking on a woman's chest size. So what happens when now they decide, you know what, commenting on someone's height is also bad. Commenting on someone's weight is also bad. Commenting on someone's outfit, because that might lead to commenting on a woman's chest. Commenting on whatever. It's just taking more and more freedoms away, and before you know it, you're not going to be able to talk about anything online anymore or in the workplace. You're just going to have to be Mr. Robot. Welcome, have a nice day, nice working with you, pleasure, and you go home. And so you're going to have to develop a good, close circle of friends that you can trust if you want to be able to communicate. That's where we're going with this stuff. The ruling made by a panel of 3 men who, in making their judgment, bemoaned their own lack of hair, comes in a case between a veteran electrician and the manufacturing firm where he was employed. Now, I don't know how many people made the judgment on this, but 3 of the men were bald and they bemoaned. I mean, I guess they were complaining like, oh, it affects me because I'm bald. Look, you got to have thicker skin. You got to, if you're making rules because of Now, and again, what if they say, oh, you can't make a comment about somebody's weight, and on the panel was 4 fat people? Like, we cannot, this is not the right way to do this. It's still kind of funny, but it's kind of sad. It's both. Like, this is a funny, stupid law, like one of those that they have in Tennessee where, what is it? Like, you can't take a bath on Tuesday, or if you go in Wichita, Kansas, if you go to a 4-way stop that doesn't have a stop sign, you have to get out of your vehicle and fire your pistol into the air to warn any. This is just where we're going. Tony Finn, who is lined for compensation, had worked for the West Yorkshire-based British Bung Company for almost 24 years. When he was fired in May last year, he took the company to a tribunal claiming, among other things, that he had been the victim of harassment, and after an incident with the factory supervisor, Jamie King. Finn alleged that during the shop floor row in 2019, King had referred to him as a bald, see you next Tuesday. The CU, the Charlie Uniform November Tango word. A tribunal heard Finn was less upset by the Anglo-Saxon language than the comment on his appearance. It's funny when you're more upset about being called bald than you are the see you next Tuesday word. And the see you next Tuesday word is always a fun one, because where else can, here in the United States or in maybe other areas, you call someone the C word and they get so super upset because it's the most offensive thing ever, yet you travel down to Australia and that's what they call all their best friends. Like, I don't think there's much more of a word that is on two opposite ends of the spectrum, where people are highly insulted. It's the worst thing you could call a woman or a person ever, and it's what I call all my best mates in Australia. Like, there's no bigger spread, I don't think. The allegation resulted in the panel, led by Judge Jonathan Brain, deliberating on whether remarking on his baldness was simply insulting or actually harassing. We have little doubt that being referred to in this pejorative manner was unwanted conduct as far as Finn was concerned, the tribunal found. This is strong language. It's strong language to call someone baldy or bald. Thought police, I'm telling you. Although, as we find, industrial language was commonplace in this West Yorkshire factory floor, in our judgment, Mr. King crossed the line by making remarks personal to the claimant about his appearance. Now, what's interesting is this is one man commenting on another man, yet they say he used harassing, like specifically sexual harassing language. I got nothing. So a man saying that to another man is. Now, what if a woman had called him that? Probably no problem. Finn had not complained about the use of industrial language. They already said that. It is difficult to conclude other than Mr. King uttered these words with the purpose of violating Finn's dignity and creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment for him, the judge found. Soft times, man. Good times make soft men. Good times make soft men. Of his own admission, Mr. King's intention was to threaten Finn and insult him. In our judgment, there is a connection between the word bald on the one hand and the protected characteristic of sex on the other. The company's lawyer was right to submit that women as well as men may be bald. However, all three of the members of the tribunal, as all three members of the tribunal will vouchsafe, baldness is much more prevalent in men than women. So I guess they're saying here as all three members. They're saying all three. I think that means that there was only 3 members of the tribunal, which were 3 men, which were all bald. That's what it sounds like. It's like asking, 5 heavyweight women if it's insulting or if it's bad to call a woman overweight. Of course, they're all going to say that. As part of its ruling, the panel raised a previous tribunal case where a man was found to have harassed a woman by remarking on the size of her breasticles to rebut the firm's point. It's much more likely that a person on the receiving end of a comment such as that which was made in part, in this case, would be female. So, too, it is much more likely that a person on the receiving end of a remark such as made by Mr. King would be male. Mr. King made the remark with a view to hurting the claimant by commenting on his appearance, which is often found amongst men. The tribunal therefore determines that by referencing the claimant as a bald "see you next Tuesday," Mr. King's conduct was unwanted. It was a violation of the claimant's dignity. It created an intimidating environment for him. It was done for that purpose, and it was related to the claimant's sex. Finn's compensation will be determined at a later date. Now, I don't know if they have any comments on this, but here's the thing, okay? Number one, no, just no. Grow up. Grow up. Look, I'll be honest, okay? And I've said this many times, not that I'm being honest now. I mean, but I'll be honest, I'm short. That's not a surprise. I'm short. I'm, again, 5'6", 5'7". I'm probably 30 pounds overweight. And if you're a Locals supporter, we've got a weight challenge going on over on betterbachelor.locals.com. Hop over there and check it out. I'm probably 30, 40 pounds overweight right now just because it's a long, cold winter here in Montana. I haven't gotten out and exercised, and I've enjoyed my food too much. If somebody comes up to me and says, "You are a fat, bald, see you next Tuesday." Okay. So what? If it's your supervisor, then you could go, if you wanted to the HR department and say something and say, "Hey, he's saying these negative things about me, and I don't think I don't think he's a good supervisor for me. Can you move me to a different department?" You know, back in the day when men were men, there would be a fist fight. Maybe they'd get into it. They'd throw punches. They'd both get some bangs and bumps and whatever. Somebody would break up the fight, and that was probably it. Many times in physical confrontations, when guys are done dusting each other up and they get their frustrations out, they'll either separate and not avoid each other, or I've seen it happen multiple times, especially in the military. They'll shake hands, buy each other a beer, and talk about it and situation solve. That's how men resolve things. But now by taking this to a court, and now we have to equate it to making a comment about a woman's body shape, and it just, this is not going good places. It's not going good places. You're taking away people's speech, and eventually you won't be able to say anything for fear that anything can insult anyone over anything. Guys, if you're here on YouTube, join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com. Dating profiles of the day coming up next, and free speech forums. You can become a supporter. It's $5 a month. Go check it out.